Hello everyone. I just wanted to do a quick 5 card spread on Nikki Haley's resignation. I did a reading a few weeks ago, just after the UN New York Assembly, where the members of the UN were actually laughing at Donald Trump's rhetoric. So the headlines that day and the following few days was "The world laughs at Donald Trump." There wasn't a hint that I know of in the media about Nikki Haley resigning, so it's sort of come a little bit out of the blue. However, so close to that UN General Assembly in New York, where he was laughed at on the world stage, a businessman like Donald Trump, if you think about it, if you transplant that to a boardroom situation, what would be his reaction to being mocked or laughed at by other businessmen around the table? Well, I guess heads would roll in some way. So I'm interested to see what has happened with Nikki Haley. Why has she resigned? It's come a little bit out of the blue. And what are the motivations for her resignation? So we'll just do a quick 5 card spread on this because it's fairly current. And the other push I'm getting also is around the midterms, to have a look more closely at the midterms. And see if what we can see there. But first of all, let's just have a look at Nikki Haley. I may get to the midterms tomorrow or the next day, but we'll see. Okay, Nikki Haley. Let's see what I can get. First of all, with Nikki Haley. Why did she resign? I get that she was unhappy, and that she has a lot of competing pressures on her, but she didn't feel that she had the support that she needed to do her job. At the end of the day, she didn't feel that she had that support, and that she, in some ways, was being undermined by Donald Trump in numerous ways. Yeah, I kind of just see her in an office situation, and she's venting. You know, when you let off steam, and she's just ranting and venting that. How could she do this impossible job? It was impossible with someone like him. Yeah, and him being laughed at was really caused a lot of anger on his part. And he expected her to have managed the UN members in such a way that they wouldn't be laughing at him. So it kind of looks like it's a mutual decision, but that's just the images I'm getting. We'll pull some cards, as I said, this 5 card spread, and see what we can see. So what caused Nikki Haley's resignation? Caused Nikki Haley. Yes, I think she wanted to leave with dignity before she actually got ousted. And the two of swords is being in a bind and having to weigh multiple forces on you. And this card is coming up a lot in relation to the Donald Trump readings. It's really about balancing those forces and having to make a compromise and a decision. So I think this card, and we won't go any further, we'll just see how the reading panned out. But my intuition is telling me that she had to compromise, and that compromise would very well have been a mutually agreeable situation where she said, "I'll resign," rather than you push me out. So the reason for it is in the past. In the past, we've pulled the card of justice. So we'll let that sit there. Justice. Okay, now that could mean that Donald Trump felt that what happened to him was not justice on the world stage, and that he was seeking justice in putting someone in the UN who could manage relationships better, so that he would never be in a situation where he was mocked and laughed at. Of course, we all know that his speechwriters should have been fired, but he's approaching this as a businessman. And, you know, in the future we've got the King of Cups, and this is I think Donald Trump and the emotion that he's brought to this situation. So he's very much in charge. He's very much in control, and I think also that their compromise when they came to this decision that she would leave, or you know, it was the best outcome if she did resign. There was probably not a harsh feeling around it. It's kind of like she wanted to get out with her reputation intact. She didn't want to be, you know, hauled over the media, you know, or you know, attacked in some way. So she wanted a congenial exit, and he didn't want headlines saying that he'd fired another person either. So there was a lot of emotion in coming to the compromise and coming to the decision. Both of them were on fairly stable emotional footing. It was mutually agreeable, in other words. And what has caused this? Now we get to the reason for this, and that's the Five of Swords. And this, of course, is this abusive relationships, bullies, theft. Again, that comes up all the time with Donald Trump. So, and this goes back to my initial image of her, you know, ranting and venting in her office to her confidants. How could she possibly do her job with someone like him? As her in power as the president, it was just too difficult for her, and you know, the betrayal, you know, the kind of you know, this bullying that he's done, and almost cutting the rug out from underneath her. So making her job very, very difficult by undermining her. So this is confirming that vision that I had of her feeling always that she was being undermined. So the potential of this situation for Nikki Haley is that she's standing fast in her own truth. So, you know, this is actually this is a good card for her. She's gotten out at a time before she's going to be burnt. So her timing is very strategic in this. You know, if she delayed, there could have been different consequences. So, I mean, this is the card of strength. So, you know, love or hate Nikki Haley, her resignation has absolutely been in her own best interests, and she will come out stronger for this. So that's just a very, very quick reading of Nikki Haley and why she resigned. But it seems like there's that mutual agreement. But what is driving her need to move on? It seems is that you know, she was continually being undermined by the president, and what is driving his need was, I think, that he felt what happened to him at the UN was unjust, and he wanted someone in power, as an ambassador who would not ever have that situation happen. But again, you know, there was schmoozing on both sides. This wasn't an acrimonious departure. They both brought some emotions to the table to get what they want. He didn't want the headlines, "I fired another one," and she didn't want the the Republicans attacking her and closing off future income sources for her. So, what do you expect in a regime like that? When I look at these cards, these are sort of fairly indicative of the way that Donald Trump does business and his immaturity and lack of clarity. But of course, he thinks that putting someone else in as the new UN ambassador will bring him a different result on the world stage. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen because of the way that he manages his relationships generally, and that is through bullying and abuse. There's not diplomacy, and that's why that he was mocked and laughed at, and no new UN ambassador will be able to change that. Okay, that's a quick reading on Nikki Haley.